Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. You can check me out on Twitter at TotalTutor, NeilHaley.com, all those exciting places. I used to say that all the social media places to connect with me, but you Google me, I come up everywhere, and that's the fun part of this is you never know. I'll be live somewhere or talking to someone, and that's so much fun. And I'm with my co-host, WPL Hall of Famer, UNLV running web, ESPN analyst, and also City League Hall of Famer Coach Karen Hall. Coach, how are you? And you bring back reminiscing time, because this is something that I guess is a little bit of an unfair one, that we brought up the stories of how Sarah Catholic lost to Stowe Rocks in the WPL finals. And Coach Rosansky didn't play me when he should have to stop Mark Dominic. And I think it was, if I'm remembering correctly, I could have stopped him and we would have won.
Right.
And then, or whoever it was, I'm forgetting my names, but all those stories. Then you bring somebody back to a coach that I played summer league with, but then transferred based on an illness. And you bring, and also he was a teacher of mine.
Well,
so now this is getting they can make me old, feel old in a certain way too. But
well, it's called legend status. That's what all that equals to, and it's we want to welcome Coach Crummie to BPTV, and Central Catholic Athletic Director, teacher, and legendary boys basketball high school coach. Coach Crummie, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I thought for sure I'd be going to the Hill District.
When I called
Here I am in Bethel.
Well, our days go back from when I was a kid, just watching you coach your team. I was still playing. And as, the years of having, being able to help run Ozanam with Darrell.
Right.
And still have you very connected with Ozanam. So it's awesome to have the chance to talk with you.
It certainly shows you that life does go full circle.
Yeah.
I mean, when you called me in, I said, oh, here we go. And you know what? Every time I went back and watched a few segments that you had prior to this.
Okay.
And every name that was mentioned, I said, I must be getting old because I know every single person. Not that that's a reflection on you two.
That says, no, I'm going to clean it up. That says that you've touched many lives. Was that good?
That's good.
Okay. Okay. So we want to get right into you. So, I don't even know where to have you start. So don't go all the way back, but take us and talk about what sports did for you as a youngster and how you were able to stay there and manage branch education.
Well, I grew up in the North Hills area, went to grade school in Bellevue, Assumption, and it was a Catholic grade school. Started playing sports with my family was very athletic.
Okay.
And my mother was actually a women's basketball coach at Mama Cece Academy.
Okay.
So at Assumption, they didn't press you in the third and fourth grade like they do now. You were allowed to play in sixth grade. So I played football, played basketball, and graduated from there. And I was more of a football guy, which people don't believe, but I was. I really loved football.
Okay.
They have an all-star game.
Right.
It used to be huge, played at Mount Lebanon Stadium. So I got chosen to play in that, and that was really a good thing. But then at the end of 8th grade, I could have went to North Hills High School, North Catholic High School, and then I ended up doing something a little unusual. I ended up going to St. Fidelis High School Seminary and college. So it's a minor seminary, and if you have maybe an interest or even thinking about being a priest. And I knew deep in my heart that if I didn't go then, I never would go.
So was that sort of like, so people say that they get the call, right? However that call.
Right.
So is that sort of what was happening?
Yeah, the minor seminaries, which I don't even think there's any left, used to be, hey, go check it out. Because sometimes you don't get the big call, you get the little call. And we want to hit you on the head a couple times to make sure, do you or do you not? And I stayed there for 4 years, and they didn't have a football team. And it crushed me, but, there must have been sort of a call. And so I stayed there for 4 years, played basketball. I was on the varsity for 4 years, started 3 years. And we played a lot of great teams in the Catholic B League. Besides the teams like Newcastle and Butler. So it was a great experience. You stayed up there. So I sort of lost track of WPIL sports from 65 to 69 when I graduated, and then sort of got caught back on. Went to Point Park. I played basketball there 1 year, and then after 1 year I sort of said, I better get on with my life's work. And I sort of always knew I was going to coach. And I knew the best way to become a coach is to become a teacher. So I majored in math. And knowing that back in those days there were no teaching openings, very few, and mathematics was the one area, or science. So I got a major in mathematics, and I took the secondary option, graduated from Point Park, and as this was all going on, and I decided not to go back into seminary after because I would have went to Duquesne then at St. Paul's Seminary. During that time, I had went and given a vocation talk to a school in McKees Rocks. And that's where I actually saw my wife for the first time. I was giving a vocation talk. And after I graduated from St. Fidelis and decided I wasn't going to Duquesne, she went to Duquesne, I went to Point Park. And we stayed friends, and then many, many years later, we married. So the callings work in strange ways.
Exactly.
I had to go and see if I wanted to be a priest to meet my wife. I mean, that's the way I always looked at it. And so after Point Park, it was tough to get a teaching job. So I worked at Pittsburgh National during school, and then also after I graduated, I was looking for a teaching job. Finally, a good friend of mine, I was playing in a summer league in Greenfield. He says, hey, they need a JV basketball coach at Central. No teaching opening. So I went, I talked to the guys. They go, we'd love to have you, but we don't have any teaching opening. So I sort of let that go by. End of the summer, teacher quits, boom, boom, boom. I'm there coaching football, basketball, and teaching 6 math classes. And I haven't left. And I do want to say, people say, why have you stayed?
Yeah, I was going to be
always, and I was looking through some old stuff. We're cleaning out our house, and there was one, why doesn't he leave? And I said, it sort of seems negative to me because I had many opportunities to leave. I'm not even going to mention
for
the
bigger schools.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And my premise was always this: I won't leave a school and go coach if I'm not going to be a teacher, because I don't believe that you can be that successful as you want to be if you're not a teacher in that district or in that school. And I'll tell you what, if you want to become a teacher, be a coach, because and that's becoming even far-fetched now.
Right.
Yeah, it's huge.
So a couple of places here, and it's funny, it really wasn't about the money. It was probably more about retirement, even at that time. But the reason why I never left is my sons would not let me leave, and they were only 5, 6, 7, 8. Good dad. Because they sort of grew up at Central. I mean, they were getting put in lockers by the varsity players. They were being harassed. The kids loved them. They loved the kids. They go, Dad, we just want one thing. We want to go to Central. And I said, well, if I go to so-and-so or if I go here. So I ended up turning down a lot of jobs. And they said, Dad, all we want to do is go to Central. I said, I'll be making more money. You can go to Central. They go, no. We want to play for you.
Wow.
So I go, oh, man, how do you turn that down? And they were really, we went to look at houses in the one district. They were furious, to say the least. So, long story short, I stayed there and even had a couple feelers out to go coach in college. But that became, in my estimation anyhow, a question between family and coaching. I knew a lot of coaches that went that route.
Yeah, you're on the road.
The families, and honestly, the family was really important to me. Just like thinking about being a priest and religion, and that's very important. So religion, family, and then sort of basketball. So here I am. And the beauty of it is, the way I look at it, I was able to meet my wife, had 5 kids, and the end of the story is that 2 of them came back and are now teaching at Central.
Is that right?
And 3 of them are coaching with me, which some people would say, really?
Where was that? I haven't seen the family affair article in the paper.
Nah, it depends who you talk to.
Yeah, I know.
But one is my boss now. He's assistant principal. And the other one is also a math teacher. And it's funny, the one was definitely going to be a teacher. We knew that. The other one, he said, I'll never teach. He went and subbed at Oliver for a semester. He goes, I'll never do this. Next thing you know, the principal knows him. He goes, hey, we need a math teacher part-time. Okay. Well, he's been there now 8 years. So it's been a good thing for my family. Why stay at Central Catholic? Most people know the reasons, the academics.
Yes.
The religious part is really important. Whether you're Catholic or not Catholic, it's about how you treat people.
That's right.
And, respecting everybody. And I think that's one of the things that we do. Academically, you're going to be prepared. Athletically, really, how many of us make it to the NBA or to the NFL?
Right.
And we don't have a lot. And football, we get a few kids, but at the end of the day, I think our product, our kids are going to be good fathers. They're going to be great in the workplace. And they're going to be people that you want to be your neighbors. And I think, we sort of concentrate on that. At the end of the day, if we eliminate our football team, we're still going to be an academic institution. If basketball gets knocked out, we're going to be an academic institution. And for me, that was important because I always felt that being a good coach is being a teacher, and being a good teacher is being a coach.
The Central Catholic community and how the alumni stays together forever. It's an amazing thing, and it really is.
Yeah. It is, and you almost start to get sick of it because you go somewhere. Well, I don't. Yeah. But my wife, we'll go on vacation. We'll be sitting on the beach. Coach Crummie! She goes, here we go again. But fortunately, she's had an impact on all our players too. Mm-hmm. They look at her as one of their mothers.
Sure.
So when they acknowledge her, everything's good. But yeah, it is. It's really an important factor in Pittsburgh. I mean, a lot of the people that work here and they do stay together. But it's been a good place for me to stay, and I don't have any regrets not leaving. And then having my sons coming around, and hopefully one of them will become the head coach. I hope they want to do that and continue that. And we've also had a lot of our players go into coaching, which I think is one of the most rewarding things for me.
Yeah.
Because I'd say, what are you getting into? They would call me, can you give me a recommendation? And we have probably 4 or 5 kids that are ex-Central players that are coaching in the WPL, and we've had some guys move on a little bit further than that. So, it's only been a positive experience. Why so long at Central? It just felt right.
It seems like something that did feel right. It feels right for you. And then again, once you're there, you are a legacy.
Yes, yes.
And that thought process. When I said which Crummie's coming, and I said I'm saying the one that taught me, and I
thought he already died.
Basketball, no, not at all. But I think that the thing that it brings to the table is that what Central Catholic brings, a lot of the guys I know that are friends of mine that were in that freshman class, and just the fact is it's just a community, and they stick together and they stay together, and the distractions are less in a lot of ways, and you go out and do things, and even the ones that are average kids are successful in life at Central, where average kids not always are successful in life in other schools.
Sometimes fall between the cracks,
or don't have the opportunities that they're going to have once they bring what they learn at Central to the real world.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's always controversial, my wife, she always said, as soon as we have a daughter, I'm sending her to Central. I'm doing a class action suit. You can't keep girls out of the school. I said, we can. We have a girls' school right across the street. But that is really vital to our kids from the concentration and focus area. Because they come to learn.
Yeah, because I
was girls in the classroom, now we got an added distraction. And I'm not against coeducational, but I know for our kids, it works.
Well, I was going to ask that point because the all-boys school, I went to an all-girls school, and that concentration, it really does make a difference. And you're right. Mount Vernon, you had Shaler nearby, so all the girls went there. I didn't go, but with there is a distinct concentration because when you look to your left and look to your right, they're the same guys, so you're not going to forget them, right? You're going to get back. So, do you think that's a huge part of Central's legacy that they've maintained that?
I really believe that, and if you look at some of the schools that had been, single sex, they sort of fell by the wayside. Yeah. Well, they had to let in more students, and then that became we got to let in either males or we got to females, and so they couldn't keep, I think, that the discipline and the tradition that they had, and some people sort of got. I said, we're not really interested in that school anymore.
Has that ever been a piece of conversation at Central?
No, not that I know.
Oh, you say it like that's like.
Well, you know what? There's one graduate that just graduated. He's a longtime Central, and he was given. I don't know if he gave everything, but most of his. We were in his will, and there was only one caveat: if you let girls into the building, this will is null and void. Now, I never believed it, but he just passed away a little while ago, and that was part of it. Wow, so you sort of have that thing, and you guys mentioned about being a community and being that. We always do with our players. We're over Christmas. We're always worried about them on New Year's Eve. So I always make them call me. They got to call in, even though they don't want to talk to me.
Right.
I say you got to call and wish me
not text,
Happy
call.
New Year's. Well, one kid just text. I had to call him up and say no. Phone calls only.
All right, so when we get back, we'll go more with Coach Crummie. I guess we're going to talk about some of the players that went on to the next level.
And a recent milestone.
And his recent milestone. Okay. You're watching the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
One of the things we do at BPTV is encourage our producers to film on location. Not only does shooting on location give our producers the opportunity to take advantage of their subject matter, filming in different locations gives each program its own distinct flavor. This also helps anyone who's flipping through the channels avoid confusion when they turn on BPTV. With around 500 programs produced at BPTV each year, the last thing we want people to think is that we're only broadcasting one program. So, you need to come into BPTV to pitch your TV show, but in terms of where you actually end up taping your show, the sky's the limit.
Back to the Neil Haley Show. Coach Karen Hall, Coach Crummie. Coach, now we'll go milestone first because I have other questions. So what milestone did you just
Well, I
reach?
wanted to go milestone after you went.
Okay. Yeah, you were so okay.
This is the beauty of TV.
Okay, so I'll throw the questions.
Go
I guess.
ahead.
What players have gone on to play Division I within your basketball program?
We haven't had a big number, but one of them is coming back next weekend. Jim McCoy.
Okay.
Played at UMass. A great trivia question.
Right.
Who's the all-time leading scorer at UMass? Now you're going to say Camby, and somebody else is going to say Dr. J.
What graduate? When did McCoy graduate?
He would have been, if I can remember this, I'll be impressed. I think it's the 88-89 school year.
Okay, so McCoy
we lost
was
in the state championship.
So McCoy was a senior when I was a freshman. Okay. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because most of the other guys that went there didn't stay 4 years.
Yeah, Herndon didn't stay for it, right?
Yeah, but none of those guys. So we called up there just to find out recently. But he's getting inducted into the Pittsburgh Basketball Club Hall of Fame.
Oh, nice.
So he's coming in next weekend. So he would be one. Pat Farrell was on the first team that I was the head coach of, and his sons have since come through. Grandsons are starting to come through. I hate to say it. A real good guy, and I had the privilege to coach him on the JV team. Was Mark Murata?
Oh yeah,
big O&M guy, and he just died recently. Suddenly, in great shape. I just seen him within a year, and I know if I miss one, they're going to be yelling at me. But Jimmy McCoy.
So McCoy thinks the best that ever played Central?
I don't know that. Yeah, I don't like to do that. I don't. I'll pick somebody that was just an average player, and then nobody can say anything. And Pat McCoy. I know I'm missing somebody.
Coach, you might know, right? Coach?
Well, I'm working to think about your O&M teams and who were some of those guys.
Yeah.
Ryan Herbster played Division II, right?
Ryan Herbster actually did not play
in college. See, I played Division III at Western Maryland before I became a professional wrestler. So,
okay,
so I played at Western Maryland, and so
he was supposed to go to Spartansburg.
I was at Metro Index with Herbster.
Yeah.
And what unbelievable talent he was then. Yeah.
Well, you know what? You just hit me here. New Year's Eve, I'm waiting for my players to call. Coach, Happy New Year's. Ryan Herbster.
Wow.
And then three other kids from different years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a good thing, They remember anyhow.
Yeah.
So, but I think who else we had was a Division I kid. McCoy, Pat Farrell, Mark Murata. I know I'm missing something.
How many WPL championships do you have?
Just one.
Just one.
Just one. Yeah. Yeah. And that's enough.
Yeah. Well, because of the competition factor of what you're dealing with in these other schools, and then now with the restructuring because of the male population,
that hurts
true.
Now you got 6A.
What are you now? Did you change classification?
No, we're still 6A.
6A. That's got to be
6A. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about the recent milestone because it was just in the paper yesterday. I mean, he's in the 600 club of wins.
Who reads the paper? I'm just kidding.
Hey, I do.
You know what?
Because
I didn't see it.
Because So I'm gonna teach you. Social media is wonderful, but you gotta.
I'm sure it's on Twitter. I'm sure it's on Twitter.
You can't dismiss.
I'll bet you I pull up right now.
Do not dismiss what has always been there.
I'm sure it's on
Twitter. So you gotta
right
be a little old school
right
and new school.
No, I guarantee.
But did you know? Did you see that? I bet you didn't see that. Thank you.
Because do I look at my own social media? I only look at myself.
Oh well, but you gotta stay in the know. We're doing a sports show.
Oh, see, well, I'm preparing when I get a text last night.
Exactly, because you have social media. Do what you do, the thumbage.
No, the thumbage. So come on.
So at any rate, while you look up Twitter,
you're not on Twitter, are you?
Of course not. I read my paper.
No,
I leave that to you to let me know. So anyway, back to Coach. All right, so congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Because, I mean, again, you've been taking care of the business with so many players that have come through and done very well. So you become a member of a 600-win club. I mean, what is that like? What does that mean to you?
I think the first time I remember, I used to do it when I was young because I was looking for other jobs.
Like keep
so
track
they would
of
always
your
ask
100 wins,
yeah, I would,
thing?
and then I just sort of, I'm not going anywhere, forget about it. But we have a pretty good stat guy.
Okay.
So we were down in somewhere in the East playing in a tournament, and we ended up winning the game, and then they blew the horn at the end, and they come running out and they give me a basketball. I said, "What's that for?" It was for the 500th win. I had no clue. I didn't know. I said, I said to our stat guy, "Why don't you at least warn me?" He goes, "No," he goes, "because I knew you didn't know." So then the 600th win, sort of the same thing. So, I mean, those are nice, but I look at those as being rewards for our kids. I mean, they're the ones that put in the hard work, and I always throw it off to them because I think they deserved it. They worked hard for it. And for me, it's just a number. If it was 300 wins,
I'm going to call it. I got it.
So now, but also he's the athletic director. So we'll stop with that. Central's football team. Now that's got to make you proud.
Yeah, last year they went all the way and they won it. This year we knew we'd probably end up playing St. Joe's Prep, and they got a future NFL kid running back on their team. He's going to Georgia. But they were very, very good this year. It's probably one of the biggest teams that I've seen. And then when we went and played other teams and they were bigger, I was just amazed. But they did it. Our football coaching staff does a really good job of coaching and teaching the kids, and also talking about other things besides winning, believe it or not, to try to take their mind off that. That can't be your number one priority, because if it is, you're going to struggle.
I can definitely agree, because I was at St. Paul Cathedral for a Mass, and here came all these big guys. I'm like, God, it has to be Central. So the values of whether you're Catholic, non-Catholic, whatever, is that, a religious component is important to us.
Yeah.
And this is what we're going to enshrine to you as a part of your experience.
Right, and as I mentioned before, there's kids of all denominations there, and it doesn't matter. But what it's all about is there's somebody out there watching over us. This is my personal opinion, from many, many circumstances. But there is somebody up there that's watching us, and there's somebody we need to pray. We need to pray for each other, and they learn that.
Yeah.
Now, we don't, they don't try to shove it down their throat and say, "Hey, you got to become a Catholic if you're coming to this school."
Right.
No, it's just the opposite. There's many different ways of doing things, and I know I look at it differently than probably you two do. However, at the end of the day, what's the finished product? Right. And I think these kids don't balk at it. They don't say, "I'm not going to church. I don't go to church." Well, guess what? Now you're with us. You go to church.
Right. So I was getting back to your athletic director and coach, 600 Win Club, the influence that kids are walking away from you, like the calls of alumni, say, "Hey, coach." I mean, what does that do? Because, I mean, they say, "This is a person who did something for me that I have to reach back to him."
Well, to me, that's part of the job. That's what a coach is. I mean, and that's why you mentioned the numbers.
Yeah.
To me, that phone call on New Year's Eve, man, that was my 700 win, in my opinion.
Yes.
And I don't think, I always say we, because our program, they're the ones that accumulated those wins. In fact, one of my old assistants, I think my wife will kill me, but my daughter was being born, and we had an afternoon game, switched from a night game to an afternoon game. And one of my assistants, Ray Petrus, who's a Sarah guy actually, and he was the assistant. I said, "Ray, she's not letting me leave." She goes, I told her I could get to the game and come back. And so I had my sports coat and tie on. I was ready. Afternoon. It's at North Hills. We were at, I think, West Penn, close. Yeah. She keeps looking. Finally, she goes, "You know what? You're not going. So call Ray up and tell him." So we played North Hills at North Hills, and he ends up winning. So when that all happened, he goes, "Hey, Chuck, you're one game short." So those numbers, to me, but those things that you just mentioned, those are really the good things. And, it's kids from 30 years ago. It's kids that played for us last year and send you a little text message, "Coach, thanks for everything you did this season." I said, thank you for everything you did.
Yeah.
You were coachable, you did that. So that's part of the job. And guess what? I chose wisely what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be a teacher. Not because I was going to get those things. I had no clue about those.
Yeah. Sure.
And those are the intangibles. Our program won some games. That's great. But when you see those kids out again, and last night we were playing, some of the old guys, myself included, were playing hoops last night at Central. Kid just wandered into the gym. And I hadn't seen him in a long time. He came in and goes, hey, nice thing in the paper. I said, what are you talking about? That's when I found out. He told me that. So
kids change today? I mean, you've been coaching a long time. All these generations have passed. Yeah. Difference between then and now?
You really have, if people saw me coach in 1980
I've seen
and see me coach now,
yeah,
like my old players, they just say, Coach, you got soft.
Yeah.
You have really changed. You've really done it. And I said, guys, it's a different world out there. And all the good things you had when life was simpler and you didn't have all that social media, life was simple. We just took care of things in the gym. You didn't go home and run to your parents and say, I yelled at you. With these kids nowadays, it's completely different. So, yeah, I have changed.
Okay.
And you can ask the referees, too.
Difficult? Was it difficult to make that change?
I don't know if it was difficult, but it was definitely necessary.
Yeah.
If I wanted to continue to coach, if I wanted to quit coaching, then, I could have went another way. But, you just find out, sometimes you do all your preparation during the week and then you're sitting in a game and you're going to try to take on a referee because he's not doing a good job. They have nothing to do with it.
No.
Like those games take care of themselves. And finally, after 43 years, you realize that.
Yeah.
How many more years do you think you'll coach?
You know what? I would like to do 2. Certainly the administration might have something to say about that. I mean, if I wanted to stay, I'm sure I could. But, a couple of reasons for me. I got 6 grandkids.
Wow.
And we just had one a few weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And so last night I spent my night watching a 3rd and 4th grade girls basketball.
Were you sitting like this, or were you like?
I was just like, and somebody come, one of the referees who was refereeing the game was donating his time. So he ran over to me and goes, boy, you're a lot more calm in these games, aren't you? I said, hey, I'm just watching.
Yeah.
They're having fun, So, so with that, with the grandkids and all that, and plus, sometimes people stay too long. And there's some young guys that are getting ready to go. And I think that's the natural, get some young guys in there. Let them do it and let them have a great career and let them continue to do what we've done, over the last few years.
All right. Well, good stopping by, Coach. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you.
Good luck. And,
Thank you, Coach.
Always good to see you.
All right. All right. That was the Neil Haley Show, guys. Take care.